Captain Ji-woo Park looked out the window of her ship, the Earth vessel Harmony. The stars shone brightly against the darkness of space. Today was an important day for all humans. Today they would meet the Kravak for the first time. "Captain, the Kravak ship approaches," said Officer Sung-min, his voice tight with excitement. Jae-woo nodded. She had studied everything known about the Kravak. They were strong warriors from a hot desert planet. They respected power and strength. They did not respect weakness. "Is everyone ready?" Ji-woo asked her team. "Yes, Captain," replied Han-bin, the ship's diplomat. His hand shook slightly as he checked his translator device. The Kravak ship was larger than the Harmony, with sharp edges that made it look like a weapon itself. It moved into position nearby, and soon their communication screen lit up. The face that appeared made several crew members gasp. The Kravak had copper-colored skin with ridges and bumps. Their yellow eyes seemed to glow with an inner fire. This one wore what looked like armor made from the scales of some great beast. "I am Derek, war chief of the Kravak Southern Fleet," the alien said in a deep, rumbling voice. "We will board your vessel for talks." Jae-woo straightened her uniform. "We welcome you, war chief. I am Captain Ji-woo Park of Earth." 30 minutes later, Ji-woo stood in the ship's meeting room. The door slid open, and 3 Kravak entered. They were even more impressive in person. Each stood at least 7 feet tall, with broad shoulders and powerful limbs. Their skin had a metallic sheen under the lights. Derek, their leader, stepped forward. His nostrils flared as he breathed in deeply. "Your air is too wet," he said. "Your gravity is too weak." His eyes fixed on Ji-woo. "And you send a small female to meet us. This is not respect." Jae-woo had been warned about Kravak directness. She smiled politely and did not show offense. "On Earth, leaders are chosen for their minds, not just their bodies," she said calmly. "Please sit. We have much to discuss." The Kravak warriors looked at the human chairs doubtfully, but eventually sat down. The chairs creaked under their weight. "We have prepared information about Earth and our people," Ji-woo said, sending files to the screens in front of the Kravak. "We hope to learn about your world as well." Derek glanced at the screens with little interest. "Words and pictures tell little. We must see what humans do when tested to know your true nature." "What kind of test do you suggest?" Ji-woo asked. Derek leaned forward. "You smell of weakness. Your skin is soft. Your teeth are flat. How does your kind survive? Where is your fire, your passion?" Han-bin, the diplomat, shifted uncomfortably, but Ji-woo remained calm. "Perhaps we express our passions differently," she said. "Humans have survived and thrived through intelligence and cooperation, not just physical strength." Derek made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Words. Always words with new species. The Kravak respect actions. Then we will show you actions," Ji-woo promised. "We've prepared a tour of our ship. You'll see how humans live and work in space." The tour did not go well. The Kravak found the ship too cold, the food too bland, and the human activities too peaceful. When they saw crew members exercising in the gym, Derek snorted with contempt. "This is not training for battle," he said. "This is play." By the end of the day, Ji-woo felt the first contact slipping away from success. The Kravak were clearly unimpressed by humans. That night, she called a meeting with her science team. "We need to understand them better," she told Do-hyun, the chief scientist. "Find something that might interest them." Do-hyun worked through the night, studying the limited data they had on Kravak biology. In the morning, he came to Ji-woo with excitement in his eyes. "Captain, I found something amazing. The Kravak planet has no ice, no snow. It never gets cold there. Their bodies have never evolved to process the sensation of cold. They literally don't know what cold feels like." Jae-woo's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "Positive. Their planet's temperature never drops below what we would consider hot summer day. They have words for less hot, but nothing that translates to cold as we know it. Jiagu smiled slowly. Prepare the kitchen. I have an idea. The next morning, when the Kravak returned, Jiwu led them to the dining hall instead of the meeting room. Before we continue talks, I wish to share something uniquely human with you, she said. Darak looked suspicious, but nodded. Jiwu signaled, and a server brought out 3 small bowls of vanilla ice cream. This is a food we call ice cream, Jiwu explained. It represents human ingenuity. We take a simple food and transform it into something special. Darak picked up the spoon awkwardly and watched Jiwu demonstrate. He then carefully took a small amount of ice cream. The moment it touched his tongue, his yellow eyes widened to their fullest extent. His copper skin flushed deep orange, and he jerked in his seat. What is this sensation? He gasped. That is cold, Jiwu said simply. Something humans have adapted to and even learned to enjoy. Darak took another taste, his face showing a complex mix of shock, discomfort, and fascination. It burns, but with absence instead of presence, he said wonderingly. This is most unexpected. For the first time since their meeting, Jiwu saw respect in the alien's eyes. Perhaps, Darak said slowly, humans have interesting passions after all. After the ice cream revelation, relations between humans and Kravak improved. Captain Jiwu Park received new orders from Earth Command. Establish a cultural exchange program. The message stressed the importance of finding common ground with the powerful alien species. Jiwu invited Darak and his team to a special meeting room on the Harmony. The room had been adjusted to be warmer for Kravak comfort. War Chief Darak, my leaders propose an exchange of knowledge and customs, Jiwu said. We believe understanding builds stronger alliances than fear. Darak sat with his arms crossed over his broad chest. Since the ice cream experience, he seemed less dismissive of humans, but still cautious. What would this exchange involve? He asked. Jiwu activated a screen showing images of Earth. We would share our art, food, science, and daily life. In return, we hope to learn about Kravak ways. Darak's yellow eyes narrowed. Our sacred traditions are not for outsiders. We respect that, Jiwu replied. Share only what you wish. The goal is to find common ground. After a long pause, Darak nodded once. The Kravak Council will consider this. We are curious about the cold substance and other human innovations. 3 days later, the exchange began. The humans converted part of the ship into an exhibition hall. One section displayed Earth art, paintings, sculptures, and digital displays. Another showed human technology through the ages. The food section became most popular with the Kravak. Minho, the ship's chef, prepared small samples of foods from around Earth. The Kravak approached each dish with caution, their enhanced senses making them extra sensitive to new tastes. This has fire, Darak exclaimed after trying Korean kimchi. He seemed pleased by the spicy fermented cabbage. Many human cultures value spicy food, Jiwu explained. Though we experience heat differently than you. The Kravak warriors were especially interested in Earth's combat sports. They watched recordings of boxing matches, martial arts tournaments, and fencing competitions with great attention. Your fighting methods rely on skill more than strength, observed Karo, one of Darak's lieutenants. Interesting approach. In return, the Kravak shared limited aspects of their culture. They performed a ceremonial combat dance that demonstrated their incredible speed and power. They showed samples of their art, mostly metal sculptures celebrating famous battles and warriors. On the 5th day of exchange, Jiwu arranged a special event. The ship's freezer had been temporarily converted into a small ice room. The temperature was kept just below freezing. This is a snow room, Jiwu explained to Darak. On Earth, in many regions, frozen water falls from the sky as snow. Children play in it. Adults ski on it. Darak looked through the window at the White Room. You voluntarily expose yourselves to extreme cold. He sounded both baffled and impressed. "We adapt," Ji-woo said. "Would you like to experience it briefly? We have thermal suits to protect you." Derek straightened his massive frame. "I do not need protection. A Krovak warrior faces all challenges directly." Ji-woo worried this might be a mistake, but she couldn't back down now. She opened the door to the snow room. Derek stepped inside. His copper skin immediately darkened in reaction to the cold. His breath became visible in small clouds. He reached down and touched the snow with one clawed finger. "It changes form," he observed as the snow melted against his naturally hot skin. "Fascinating." After only 2 minutes, Derek signaled he wanted to leave. Back in the warm corridor, he shivered once, then composed himself. "Your species lives with such extremes," he said. "Perhaps this explains your adaptability." That evening, the humans hosted a formal dinner. Scientists, diplomats, and warriors from both species sat together at a long table. The humans had researched Krovak digestive capabilities carefully to prepare safe and appealing foods. During the meal, Do-hyun, the science officer, revealed his latest creation: ice cream in new flavors designed specifically for Krovak taste preferences. He had incorporated the spices they seemed to enjoy and adjusted the sweetness levels. "We call this special version Flame Frost," Do-hyun explained, serving small bowls to the Krovak guests. "Cold like ice cream, but with flavors that might remind you of home." Derek took a cautious taste. His reaction was immediate. His eyes widened, and he made a rumbling sound in his chest that the humans hadn't heard before. "This is acceptable," he said, continuing to eat. Ji-woo hid her smile. From a Krovak, this was high praise. Later, after the meal, Derek approached Ji-woo privately. "Your species creates pleasure from discomfort," he said. "The cold that should be painful becomes enjoyable. This thinking is very different from Krovak ways." Ji-woo nodded. "Humans often find joy in contrast and balance. Heat and cold, sweet and spicy, effort and rest." Derek was quiet for a moment, considering her words. "The council has agreed to continue the exchange. There is much to learn from each other." "I'm pleased to hear that," Ji-woo said. "But," Derek added, his voice dropping to a rumble, "the true measure of any species is not in its foods or arts. It is in how they face challenge and danger." He fixed his yellow eyes on Ji-woo. "If humans wish true respect from the Krovak, you must prove your worth through action, not words." Ji-woo met his gaze steadily. "When the time comes, we will be ready." As Derek returned to his ship that night, he carried with him a small container. Inside was more of the Flame Frost ice cream, a request he had made quietly to Do-hyun. The first step of true cultural exchange had begun. 1 week after the cultural exchange began, a formal message arrived from the Krovak High Council. Captain Ji-woo Park read it with a growing sense of concern. "They want to test us," she told her senior staff gathered in the meeting room. "War Chief Derek has been ordered to subject humans to the trial of embers." "What is this trial?" asked Hanbin, frowning. Ji-woo displayed the information on the main screen. "It's a Krovak tradition. When they meet a new species, they challenge them to prove their worth. The trial tests strength, courage, and endurance." Do-hyun, the science officer, studied the details with alarm. "Captain, this trial takes place in temperatures that approach human tolerance limits. Their normal room temperature is already uncomfortable for us. If we refuse, they'll see it as weakness," Ji-woo said. "The message makes it clear: no alliance without the trial." Tae-ho, the ship's engineer who had remained quiet until now, spoke up. "Who must take this trial?" "They request our leader," Ji-woo replied. "That would be me." The room erupted in protests. Han-bin was the loudest. "Captain, this is too dangerous. Let me go instead." Ji-woo raised her hand for silence. "The decision is made. I will represent Earth." Tae-ho, I need your help to prepare. For 3 days, Ji-woo trained in the ship's hottest sections. Tai-ho worked night and day in his workshop, emerging with dark circles under his eyes, but a satisfied smile. I've created this cooling undersuit, he explained, showing Ji-woo a thin, flexible garment. It looks like regular clothing but contains a network of cooling tubes. The Kravak won't notice it under your uniform. Will it be enough? Ji-woo asked. Tai-ho's smile faded. It will help, but the trial chamber will still be dangerously hot. You'll need all your mental strength. On the day of the trial, Ji-woo stood at the docking bay as Derek arrived. The Kravak warrior seemed different, more formal, almost solemn. Captain Park, he said with a slight bow. Are you prepared to face the trial of embers? I am, Ji-woo replied steadily. Many have failed, Derek warned. There is no shame in declining. Humans do not back down from challenges, she said. Derek led her to their ship. Inside, everything was hot and dry. Ji-woo could feel sweat forming immediately, despite Tai-ho's cooling suit. They descended into the lower levels of the ship. The heat increased with every step. Finally, they reached a circular room with walls that glowed red from heat. The Chamber of Embers, Derek announced. You must remain inside for 1 hour. You must also complete 3 tasks to prove your mind stays sharp despite physical stress. Ji-woo nodded, trying to control her breathing in the scorching air. First task, assemble this warrior's puzzle. He handed her a complex 3D puzzle made of metal pieces. Second, recite the code of honor I taught you yesterday. Third, defeat a training drone in tactical combat. Ji-woo looked at the glowing chamber, then back at Derek. I'm ready. She stepped inside and nearly gasped as the full heat hit her. The cooling suit helped, but the air burned her lungs with each breath. The floor was hot through her boots. Ji-woo began with the puzzle, forcing her trembling fingers to work precisely. The metal pieces burned her fingertips, but she continued. Sweat poured down her face and back. 20 minutes passed. The puzzle was complete. Ji-woo's vision blurred slightly, but she stood tall. Second task, called Derek from outside the chamber. Recite the code. Ji-woo took a deep breath of the burning air and began. Strength without purpose is waste. Victory without honor is empty. A warrior's true power lies in knowing when to fight and when to make peace. Derek's yellow eyes widened slightly in surprise as she completed the ancient verses perfectly. Final task, he said, pressing a control. A door opened and a hovering drone entered the chamber. It was shaped like a Kravak warrior but smaller. It carried a training staff. Ji-woo's legs felt weak, and her head pounded from the heat. The cooling suit was reaching its limits. Still, she remembered her combat training. The drone attacked, and Ji-woo dodged. She couldn't match the drone's strength, so she used its momentum against it. When it charged, she sidestepped and pushed it into the hot wall. When it swung, she ducked and struck at its balance sensors. After 3 minutes of intense combat, Ji-woo managed to knock the drone to the floor. Her breath came in painful gasps. Black spots danced in her vision. Enough. Derek's voice boomed. The trial is complete. The chamber door opened. Ji-woo walked out on unsteady legs but refused any help. She stood before Derek, her uniform soaked with sweat, her face red from heat, but her eyes clear and determined. You have succeeded where many have failed, Derek said formally. You did not just endure. You completed all tasks with skill. Ji-woo managed a small smile. Humans are stronger than we look. Later, in the medical bay of the Harmony, Dr. Maija treated Ji-woo for mild heat exhaustion. You took an unnecessary risk, Captain, the doctor scolded. It was necessary, Ji-woo replied. Did you see Derek's face when I walked out of that chamber on my own? For the first time, he truly respected a human. That evening, Derek requested a private meeting with Ji-woo. The High Council has received my report, he said. They are impressed. No non-Kravak has completed the Trial of Embers in 16 cycles. What happens now? Jiwoo asked. Derek's copper face showed a new expression, something almost like approval. Now, Captain Park, our peoples can begin real talks. As equals. Jiwoo nodded, understanding what her ordeal had accomplished. The path to true alliance had been opened, not through words or even ice cream, but through proving human strength could match Kravak expectations. I look forward to it, she said. The alarm blared through the harmony at 300 hours, jolting Captain Jiwoo Park from deep sleep. She rushed to the bridge, still pulling on her uniform jacket. Report, she demanded as she entered. Emergency transmission from Earth Command, said Officer Sungmin, his face pale in the blue light of his console. And from the Kravak High Council. Jiwoo frowned. Both? At the same time. Yes, Captain. Both reporting attacks on their outposts near the Rigel system. Jiwoo sat in her command chair. Show me. The main screen split to display both messages. On the left, Admiral Jun from Earth showed footage of a human mining colony under attack. Strange ships with curved, organic-looking hulls fired green energy weapons at the ice-covered buildings. On the right, a stern Kravak elder reported similar attacks on their frontier outpost. The attackers appeared without warning, Admiral Jun explained. They hit 3 ice mining operations in the past 12 hours. They targeted our warriors stationed on the frozen moon of Kralik. The Kravak elder added. A cowardly surprise attack. Jiwoo leaned forward. Are there any communications from the attackers? Any demands? None, replied Admiral Jun, but we've noticed something strange. They're only attacking facilities on ice planets or moons. Warm climate colonies have been completely ignored. This detail caught Jiwoo's attention. Sungmin, wake Do-hyun, and Taeho immediately. I need them on the bridge. Within minutes, her science and engineering officers arrived, still looking sleepy. I need analysis, Jiwoo said, sharing the attack footage. Why would an unknown species specifically target ice-based operations? Do-hyun studied the images carefully. The attack pattern is unusual. They're not just destroying. They're melting everything. Look at how their weapons turn the ice to steam. Taeho pointed to something on the screen. Captain, look at their ship movements. They never land or even enter the planet's lower atmosphere where temperatures drop sharply. You think they can't tolerate cold? Jiwoo asked. It's a possibility, Do-hyun replied. Many species evolve in specific temperature ranges. If they come from an extremely hot environment. Jiwoo nodded slowly, an idea forming. Like the Kravak, but perhaps even more extreme. She turned to her communications officer. Contact War Chief Derek immediately. I need to speak with him. 30 minutes later, Derek's face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Jiwoo could see Kravak warriors preparing for battle. Captain Park, this is not a good time, Derek growled. We prepare for war against these cowardly sneak attackers. War Chief, I believe I know why these aliens are attacking, Jiwoo said. And I have a plan that requires both our species. Derek's yellow eyes narrowed. Explain. The attackers only target ice worlds. They melt everything they attack. Their ships avoid cold atmospheres. I believe they cannot function in cold environments. It may be lethal to them. Understanding dawned in Derek's expression. And humans, you specialize in cold technology. Exactly. Jiwoo nodded. Your warriors are the strongest fighters I've ever seen, but they struggle with cold. Humans have technologies designed specifically for ice and snow. Together, we could develop a defense the attackers never expected. Derek was silent for a long moment. Then he barked an order to someone off-screen. The Kravak warship Flame Talon will rendezvous with your vessel in 6 hours, he said. I will be aboard with our best warriors. Have your cold weapons ready, Captain Park. When the Kravak ship arrived, Jiwoo met Derek in the Harmony's conference room. Maps and tactical displays covered the walls. Du Hyun and Taeho waited with prototypes of their ideas. "Our scientists have confirmed your theory," Derek said without greeting. "The enemy vessels maintain internal temperatures that would cook even a Kravak. They are creatures of extreme heat." "Then our strategy should work," Ji-woo replied. "Taeho, show the war chief what you've developed." The engineer stepped forward nervously. "We've modified our standard cryo torpedoes to create an expanding cold field rather than an explosion. When detonated near enemy ships, they'll create a bubble of intense cold that should penetrate their hulls. And these." Darak pointed to smaller devices on the table. "Cold bombs," Du Hyun explained. "For Kravak warriors to plant directly on enemy ships during boarding actions. Each one can flash freeze a section of their vessel." Darak picked up one of the devices, his expression doubtful. "My warriors cannot function in such cold." Ji-woo nodded. "That's why we've also created these." She lifted what looked like a thin suit, modified thermal suits designed for Kravak physiology. "They'll keep your warriors warm enough to function in freezing conditions for up to 30 minutes. "You developed these so quickly." Derek seemed impressed. "We already had the cooling technology from my trial of Ember's suit," Ji-woo explained. Taeho simply reversed the function. Derek tested the material between his clawed fingers. "And what do you call this strategy?" Ji-woo smiled slightly. "Operation Frostbite." The combined human Kravak fleet gathered near the latest attack site. 6 Earth vessels and 4 massive Kravak warships prepared for battle. Ji-woo stood on the Harmony's bridge, now wearing a commander's battle armor. "Enemy ships detected," reported Sungmin. 5 vessels approaching from the dark side of the moon. "All ships, prepare cryo torpedoes," Ji-woo ordered. "Kravak boarding teams, stand ready." "The enemy has not detected us." Darak's voice came through the comm. "They are overconfident." Ji-woo took a deep breath. "For Earth and Kravak," she said. "Fire torpedoes." Brilliant blue streaks shot toward the unsuspecting enemy ships. When they detonated, they didn't create explosions, but instead bloomed into beautiful spheres of swirling frost that enveloped the alien vessels. "Direct hits," shouted Sungmin. "Enemy ships are slowing, their weapons systems failing." "Boarding parties launch now," Ji-woo commanded. She watched as Kravak assault shuttles raced toward the disabled enemy ships, carrying warriors in their new thermal suits and armed with cold bombs. The battle had just begun, but Ji-woo allowed herself a moment of hope. 2 species that once seemed incompatible had found strength in their differences. The enemy of heat and fire was about to learn a cold, hard lesson. The enemy flagship drifted in space, partially disabled by the cryo torpedoes. Its strange organic hull was now covered with patches of frost. Smaller ships around it tried to flee but were caught in a crossfire of human and Kravak weapons. The boarding teams report success on 2 enemy vessels, Sungmin announced on the Harmony's bridge, but the flagship's defenses are still active. Ji-woo studied the tactical display. "We need to disable their main ship to end this quickly." Her communication panel lit up. Derek's face appeared, his copper skin gleaming with sweat. He was already wearing one of the thermal suits. "Captain Park, their flagship must be taken. My warriors can breach it, but we need your cold weapons to succeed inside." Ji-woo understood what he was suggesting. "A joint boarding mission." "Yes. Your cold, our strength." Derek's yellow eyes held a challenge. "Unless humans prefer to stay safely on their ships." Ji-woo smiled. "Prepare your shuttle, War Chief. I'll meet you in a launch bay with my team." 20 minutes later, Ji-woo and 5 crew members, including Taeho with his cold bombs, boarded a Kravak assault shuttle. The inside was uncomfortably hot, but their modified cooling suits made it bearable. Derek nodded at Ji-woo as she strapped into a seat. "Your first battle, Captain." "First spaceboarding," she admitted, "but not my first fight." "Stay close to my warriors," Derek ordered. "The enemy's internal temperature will be extreme. The shuttle launched toward the enemy flagship. As they approached, Jiwoo saw the massive ship clearly for the first time. It looked almost alive, with surfaces that pulsed and shifted. "Their hull is regenerating from our cold attacks," Taiho observed. "Fascinating adaptive technology. Save your admiration for after we defeat them," Derek growled. The shuttle pilot fired specialized Kravak weapons that burned a hole through the enemy hull. With a violent shudder, they docked. "Prepare for entry," shouted the Kravak pilot. Heat levels beyond normal range. The door opened, and a wave of scorching air hit them. Even the Kravak warriors hesitated before the intense heat. "Cooling fields," Jiwoo commanded. Taiho activated a device that created a bubble of cooler air around the boarding party. It wouldn't last long, but it would give them time to move forward. They pushed into the enemy ship. The interior was like entering a living thing. Walls pulsed with veins of glowing energy, and the floor felt slightly soft underfoot. The heat was nearly unbearable despite their suits. "Movement ahead," a Kravak warrior warned. Around a corner came the ship's defenders. They were tall, slender beings that seemed to be made of living fire. Their bodies flickered and waved like flames, and where their eyes should be were just bright, burning points of light. "Fire beings," Derek hissed. "Living heat." The creatures attacked, shooting streams of energy from their limbs. A Kravak warrior fell back, his armor smoking where he'd been hit. "Cold bombs, now," Jiwoo ordered. Taiho rolled several small devices toward the fire beings. When the bombs exploded, they released no fire, but instead waves of intense cold. The enemy creatures shrieked, a high, whistling sound, as frost formed across their flaming bodies. "Forward," Derek bellowed, leading the charge past the now sluggish defenders. They fought their way deeper into the ship, facing more fire beings and automated defenses. The combined strength of Kravak warriors and human cold technology proved effective, but their progress was slow and costly. "The ship's core should be ahead," Taiho said, checking the scanner. "That's where we need to plant the main cold bomb." "Our suits are failing," Jiwoo warned, noticing how the terrible heat was now seeping through. "We have minutes, not hours." They reached a massive chamber where the heat was most intense. In the center floated what looked like a miniature sun, a ball of churning, living flame. "That's their power source," Taiho whispered in awe. "Pure thermal energy." Around the core, dozens of fire beings performed what seemed like a ritual dance, adding their own flames to the central mass. "We'll never get close enough to plant the bomb," Jiwoo said. "There are too many." Derek studied the scene, then turned to Jiwoo. "I have an idea. Your ice cream, it changed form when it touched my hot skin, yes?" Jiwoo nodded, confused. "It melted, but what?" "And your cold bombs create a field of freezing air," Derek continued. "What if we reverse your ship's transporter technology? Instead of bringing something here?" Understanding dawned on Jiwoo's face. "We could transport the cold directly into their core." "Taiho, can you modify the cold bomb to work with their transporter?" Taiho was already opening his toolkit. "Give me 2 minutes." While Taiho worked, the Kravak warriors formed a protective circle. The fire beings had noticed the intruders and were gathering for an attack. "Ready," Taiho announced, holding up a modified device. "But someone needs to get it closer to the core for the transport lock." Derek took the bomb from Taiho's hands. "I am fastest. Cover me." Before Jiwoo could object, Derek sprinted toward the core. Fire beings rushed to intercept him, but the remaining Kravak warriors and humans fired cold weapons to clear a path. Derek reached a platform near the core. His thermal suit was smoking from the extreme heat, but he placed the device and activated it. "Transport now," Jiwoo ordered into her communicator. The device glowed, then disappeared in a shimmer of transport energy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the fiery core pulsed violently, turning from bright yellow to pale blue. Frost patterns spread rapidly through it. The fire beings writhed and shrieked as their power source cooled. The entire ship shuddered. Back to the shuttle. Jiwoo shouted, "This place is going to freeze solid." They retreated, helping injured teammates. Derek was the last to reach the shuttle. His thermal suit almost completely burnt away, his copper skin blistered from the heat. As they pulled away from the dying flagship, they watched it turn from glowing red to a dull, frozen gray. Back on the Harmony, after the remaining enemy ships had surrendered or been destroyed, Jiwoo and Derek stood in the medical bay. Both were being treated for heat exposure. "The fire beings have agreed to peace talks," Jiwoo told Derek. They didn't expect species from cold worlds to be capable of such resistance. Derek nodded. They feared what they did not understand. As did the Krovak. Once, a medical officer approached with 2 small bowls. As requested, War Chief. Derek took the bowls and handed one to Jiwoo. It was ice cream. The special flame frost variety created for Krovak tastes. "To cold passion and hot strength," Derek said, raising his bowl in a toast. "Together, unbeatable." Jiwoo smiled and raised her own bowl. "To unexpected friendships and the perfect balance of fire and ice."